Okay, let's see here. Did Low Country go live? Do I have anybody waiting to come in? Can anybody hear me? Okay, so far there is nobody. Okay, what's going on there? Not that, not that. But how about here? Ooh, it does say that we're live. Okay, it says we're live, and it's showing as live. So this is one of those times. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we have one person who is watching. Go ahead and say hi if you will. You should see some stuff bouncing around, and hopefully we'll see. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead and check. I see that I have one person watching. That literally could be me. Low Country Living, Better Living in a Better World. That one's going live. I think we're good there. And I don't know. Do we have a list? Let's see here. Are you able to join? Okay. So I would think I should be getting notification of a attempt to join. Getting a notification from anybody. Five timeouts. I've invited guests. And are those guestesses? Got one Low Country Connection watching. And let's see. Copy. Let's try. Oh, okay, excellent, excellent. We can add you to the scene. Mr. Lusk, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent, and I can hear you too. This made my life quite easy. Now I'm going to see if you can actually make it to. Let's see here. Hold on a second. Paste. Okay. There were not less. Everybody was less today, by the way. Everybody I sent a link to was under I copied and pasted. Hey, Les. And one of the responses was, "I'm not less." It's like, yeah, well,
Well, at least they were paying attention.
yeah. There's only one less. Only one less. Okay, so this could be kind of fun. Now, what I don't know, and what I am going to check right quick, um, this is a service called EVMux, and apparently, I don't have it today because I'm using a free version to see if it's going to do what I want it to do. But they have a connection to X, and if I upgrade my X, then it's quite possible I'd be able to stream to all of them at once, which would just make my life so nice and happy. Okay, I don't know if this. Oh, and we're currently live to YouTube, so that makes it fun. Well, how have you been, sir?
Pretty well. How about you?
Good, It's funny. I don't know what it is about life, but it takes like forever to settle in. But it's really just been the past, I don't know, 2 months that I've started feeling like, okay, I'm home and I need to start living again. And I can kind of get like, your feet under you, if you will. So it's
Yeah,
been kind of, so it's interesting. It's interesting.
yeah, I know that feeling. I mean, it took me a little bit of time after we moved here to really feel like I was coming home when I came home,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. It's
that
kind of what
and that I knew where I wanted to go, and I knew who I wanted to go see, and things like that. Just around the area, what I needed to do to get certain things done.
yeah, just
But
literally
so
like,
it
okay.
is much more comfortable now.
So yeah, that's interesting. Okay, here comes one of the gentlemen. Um, but so I would really like to think if some of these other guys are going to jump on, that I could wait for them because I'd like
Well, we
them
can
to.
hum the theme from Final Jeopardy.
Yeah, well, hum
Uh,
the theme from
yeah,
Final
because
Jeopardy, and
everything's fixed whenever that tune ends.
I have a guy that's supposed to be getting ready to talk about manifestos. But what I do want to try today is I would like to try random fun media.
Welcome, stranger. You've just broken the access code to this game. A game in which your destiny depends upon your own decisions, and where the ultimate weapon is your mind. Welcome, stranger. Broken the access code to this game. A game in which your destiny depends upon your own decisions, and where the ultimate weapon is your mind. Welcome, stranger. You've just broken the access.
Okay, yeah. So wait. See, now I
It's
want to
okay.
talk
This
about
this is the
something.
practice session. This is the easy spot where you can try out all the
Yeah.
buttons.
The problem is this is like, there we go, much better. Now you're supposed to be coming in on your phone. I didn't set up because basically next week I can probably do it. If I upgrade, I can use multi cameras off of mine, but they only let me use one camera. So alternatively, I could sit here and just talk, and I could put this thing on
It
mute,
can
but
be like
we
talking
can
to
change it.
Charlie on
What
Charlie's
is this
Angels.
called?
Yeah. But check on your Stokes email. I sent you the link.
Oh, I don't have that on my phone.
Huh?
I don't have that on my phone. Send it to my
What is it
personal
with you
email.
guys?
Send it to my personal email.
Unbelievable.
Gosh, people
This
with
younger
work-life
generation,
balance.
man.
When I'm not here,
Huh?
I don't want to work.
See, there are people who think that they have work-life balance.
I work long enough hours. I work long enough hours. If I'm not here, I don't want to. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, fair enough. I get that, but now, like, I send it out to everybody, and where are they? You should be rounding up Rob and Roberta. They're expected to be here.
Are they?
They said they were going to be here, or at least on. And we're waiting for this.
You know my personal email.
Now I've got to
say it out loud so the
I don't
whole
even know why I
network
brought
will
this
know
with
it.
me.
What's that? Oh, that you were right. Hey, you know what? It's new people. I did like a second ago. Oh well, I'm no longer watching it. Okay,
Is this the diamond disc?
probably. All right, and invite guests once again. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to send this to link.
Uh,
Zach, what's your non-youth work?
All right. It's no spaces and all lowercase. Make no changes
Make no changes.
at Gmail.
Make no changes at Gmail.
That's it.
Yeah.
gonna spam that account to death
love
in
it.
about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Make no changes.
Don't
at
dox me.
Gmail.
Don't dox me now.
I sent a.
You just
I
said
sent
that
a-
on live.
I sent an old song to my mother today that like it randomly popped up, and I was like, "Hey, do you remember this?" Because we remember my father fondly, and now that I hear Zach's email of "make no changes," I think the song that goes, "Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect." Okay, make no changes. All right, so Yeah, if you can jump on, because I would like to see you at least like try your mobile experience, since I can't have it. Like, I don't care if you put in your earplugs or
Now, it's going to access my phone camera.
yeah, you can do it whatever you
Will
want.
it echo?
It may, but just give it a shot. See what happens.
You can enter the studio as a guest.
Cool.
Yeah,
You're
if
gonna
that
enter
goes,
as
he
a guest.
can
Host can add you
turn
to the
off
broadcast at any
his
time.
microphone because I can
All
hear
right,
him.
type in my name.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So
What
that's
should my
interesting.
name
I'm
be?
probably picking up the wrong microphone. What?
What should my name be?
I don't care. Put in a name. Put in
I'm
the big
wanna kick
Z.
booty.
I want to kick booty after I make no changes.
Join the broadcast.
All right,
Wanna kick
and
booty was a character in a very old Cheech and Chong comedy skit.
now I've got to find out like where are you guys? Why aren't you on? Let's see. Now I'm gonna have to find like.
All right, what's your
Um,
dun 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 dun? Oh, it's not.
what do you need? The charger?
There he is.
No. I was trying to see if this had an aux cord that I can plug into my phone, but I don't even have an aux connection.
It is
No,
echoing.
I'm good on the charger. I was
Okay.
looking to try to connect this microphone.
So, mute your phone.
Do.
Do to do.
Do to do is completely what you need. Okay, and now we're going to.
How do I get
Yes,
Zach? How do I mute it?
Zach?
That doesn't work. How do I mute it?
There's a button on the control panel underneath your screen, right
Here, we can
there.
try this too.
Looks like a little microphone, and you click on it. And I'll tell you how I know that. It's because I clicked on it earlier.
Can you hear me through this?
Yeah.
No. Wait, you can hear him?
Yeah, I could hear him very clearly.
Okay, well, good. So whatever's working here, everybody. I can kind of hear you since you're sitting next to me. And I guess that's what I would say is if I had the upgraded plan, then we could all jump on.
Never
So,
upgrade the plan.
I'll be right back.
never upgrade the plan. And there goes Zach.
It's okay. He'll make it back. He'll return unscathed.
But okay, other than that, so life is good. I'm getting some pretty decent like steps forward with the community commerce thing. I'm really spending a lot more time on creating the Keeper platform that will help me manage it all. So, but I'm having a ton of fun with that, which is going to be coming into, I'm using AI, and I can be right there with you as to why AI completely sucks, and
Yep.
how we're still going to live happily ever after with it. So,
Yeah.
as an introduction for whoever might be joining us or seeing us in the future, we have Zach over here who, originally Les was planned to be and still will be the protagonist of this show. But I think Zach would be happy to give you a run for your money. So Zach meet Les, Les meet Zach. And Zach's joining us. He can have random conversations, random input, but primarily later we're going to get into the manifesto of the marketplace, where we will have Zach, who just brought the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx to work and read it out loud while the world was frozen.
No affiliation.
So we're going to have that conversation a little bit later,
Does-
and we might.
Does the manifesto work in car sales?
Can you hear? Can you hear him?
Whoa! That's bad.
Yeah.
That was badness.
So I'm wondering if it's this one here. I could probably shut these off. That might help you because I have.
I'm not sure. I heard you a little bit quiet. Let me see if I can turn it up. Nope. So every time I turn my volume up on the phone, it starts to do that.
All right. So
I could do Jared Morse for the hearing impaired.
Nivens?
Now,
I have not.
what if I turn it?
Okay, that turned all of you guys off. All your audio went off universally.
Did it?
So yeah, when
Now
the lights are red, it's off.
So
Now
then
it's back.
actually, yeah, this is the one. This is picking up both you and I.
Oh.
So in theory, I could put mine over to here, which then should cancel out, and you might be able to just use your phone. Let me try that.
What if I just use my phone and I go sit on the other side?
Well, hold on 1 second, just for the fun of it, because I do want to try to see if I can make it work this
There's
way.
a place over at the other dealership.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. There's a place over to other dealerships that they may let you hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, that is
Because
getting still just a little bit of echo.
yeah, that's
I would go over on the roof. That would be cool.
not
Yeah.
this one. I want to. But those are all showing the same thing.
No, no.
Yeah, it's not going to work. All
So
right.
Chuck, you're
Yeah.
in
So
the. Are you in the back room there in your Fortress of Solitude?
no, not yet. Um, no. Right now, I'm just kind of out in one of the, the old offices, the kind of little cubicles that's out there.
Okay.
Because
He's
we'll see.
escaping. Call
He's
security. He's
escaping. Yeah, he's going to
escaping. He's
another one.
escaping.
All right. So now we should be able. Zach, can we hear you?
No. I only hear the echo of Zach.
I turned my mic on.
Okay, now
There
I
you
can
go.
hear you. Now we have you
Okay.
real instead of me hearing the echo of Zach far in the background. It was Zach far off in the cave.
Now I'm going to guess.
And now I
No.
can't hear you, Chuck. I still can't hear you, Chuck. This is where we get to talk about him, Zach, until he can figure out how to talk again. It will really, really can't get him if we just sit here and talk about him continuously until he gets his microphone fixed.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Uh, you're
how long?
You can hear me
now I can. You're kind of crackling.
crackling.
Okay, that's better.
Okay. All right. So
You,
we're
you need to get one of these super cheap headsets.
yeah.
I should. Then it won't echo.
Then you look really weird walking around with it too, but people don't bother you because they think you're weird.
All right. So going on to the
We better live, better rise and shine. Building connections one car at a time. From the tide to the trees, feel the breeze flow through. Low country love with the be better. It's not just cars, no, it's a whole way of living. Where the sun sets gold and the vibes are chilling. Forgiveness, trust, gratitude and flow. We bring the low country soul everywhere we go. So if you want that better, don't look too far. The Be Better Cruise got the keys to the car. From Soaks to your block, we keep it true. Low country life with a better view. We better live, better rise and shine.
I got to remember to hit all of them. There we go. The Be
Uh,
Better Crew theme song.
okay, I'm gonna add that to my LinkedIn profile. My new
Yeah,
role in the Be
I think
Better crew.
it's going to be fun. So we're going to be sharing like moments of how to be better in life. So Zach, since like you're the only Be Better Crew member, and I don't even think you've been officially made yet to be a Be Better Crew member. So as a wannabe Better Crew member, tell us, how do you have a better life?
Well, I mean that's a multifaceted question. I think like a better life really it all comes down to like how you view the world. Doesn't like you could have people here in the first world who have everything and they're like they're depressed and they have anxiety and they struggle with mental issues. And you have people who have nothing in other parts of the world and they seem to have a pretty fulfilled life. So I think it all comes down to like what you are willing to be grateful for, I guess.
Okay.
So
Hey,
it all starts in the mind.
gratitude's obviously a real big piece to it. And here becomes the question is, can AI actually have gratitude, which is going to set this whole conversation up as to why the current language models are really bad. And Les is going to take us down that path in just a second. I want to tell you that I think like the current AI models are really quite fun and they're helping us move things forward kind of better, faster, quicker for people who maybe are willing to jump in and understand the benefits of this new tool. I mean, back in the day, we all learned Microsoft Word and we're like, wee. Then people became super experts and learned things like how to add column A to column B to make it equal column C, and the whole world changed. And now we have this new tool in AI that's changing the entire world again. And Les is here to tell us that it's the worst thing that could happen to the world since sliced bread, which I understand is actually a pretty good thing. Les, why is sliced bread a good thing?
Well, mainly because then you don't have to slice it yourself because then you lose fingers.
Which is
Uh,
good, which is good.
which is
But how
which is a
about
which is
the
a
AI?
bad thing. Uh,
The
well,
Germans would disagree.
yeah, you know how I feel about the current versions of regurgitation IA stuff. That is what we have now. It's not really thinking. It is stringing words together, and so it has a huge dictionary, but it's really just stringing words together based on the words it has heard in its model.
Okay,
It,
so
it is it's nowhere close to being general AI where a machine is thinking the way that we are thinking. It does not have an internal dialogue in its head the way that we have an internal dialogue.
now I'm gonna sort of push back there because
Yeah,
you can cause it to have an internal dialogue with itself, which is quite interesting. And I'm currently having like I'll have Lovable create some code, I'll drop it over to Claude and get it to verify the code. Right now, go in this little circle to say, hey, make sure if the code is correct because again, I haven't looked at code in a day. Um, so like there is the ability to tell it to have introspection, but it really doesn't. And why not?
Well, you can tell it to take on just about any role that you want to. So you can start out anytime you're asking a question and say, in the role of a high school English teacher, do a certain thing. In the role of an experienced journalist, do a certain thing. In the role of an analyst, do a certain thing. And it will look through all the words that it knows and it will attempt to take on that persona. And it will then use that persona in the way that it structures the answer.
So what's the problem with that?
There's no problem with it other than if you really get down into the nuts and bolts of it, it can hallucinate and make really weird decisions. And one of the places where it hallucinates badly is when you ask it to look at law or to pick out precedents in law. And if you go to one of the major models and you go through and you ask it to tell you precedents for particular case law, it will make up cases and write the footnote for you exactly like it looks like it's real. But if you go out and you do a search on that, you'll find out that the case doesn't exist
I
because it's
I've seen
trying to
that.
please you.
So, but let's get. So, I have a new perspective on one of the problems with the large language model. Let's say, at least in concept. Okay, if I back up, right? Because everything has to be in context. But as soon as you make a clear identifier within a context, that whole thing becomes yet another big context that can expand itself out. And I think that like the hallucination situation is that AI doesn't really know how to hold on to big picture. I don't care how well you like define the prompt, as you get further and further into it, and I think this is one of the things about law, like it loses track of how did we ever get there, right?
Yes,
And
yes, it
so when
does.
it's making these bigger grand thoughts behind it, it's really not a cohesive thought. And while it's like that is hallucinating, if you will, it's something different because it's actually now taking away what it should know.
Well, I mean, I'm old enough to remember the ELIZA program, which was written in BASIC a long, long time ago. Have either one of you ever used it?
No.
I have not.
Okay. It was a basic program. It had a command prompt, and when you fired up the program, it said, "Hi, I'm Eliza, the doctor. What's your problem?" And you could type into it something, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm whatever, and it would then answer you in context. Well, what makes you sad? And you could type something in, and it would have this complete conversation with you, going back and forth based on what your previous prompts and everything were. That very much sounded like a person was responding to you. And if you got to a certain point and you ask it something, it would say, "Well, which one of those possibilities would make you happy?" And so, if it couldn't give you a solution, and you could go on for hours and hours with this thing, and it appeared to be a very rudimentary form of intelligence. It was really just a basic program that had a couple of hundred canned sort of responses to prompt based on your noun verb combination, and then it would respond to you. And I put that on a program at Bluefield State College, on a bunch of personal computers there, and just left it. And I found out a few weeks later that the chairman of the social science department had found it and turned it on, and it had completely freaked him out because he was a sociologist and he could not figure out how this computer had decided to talk to him. And he was really messed up by it.
And rightfully, it's interesting. I have not gotten onto any of the, let's say, the character AIs that have that significant supposed depth of the new friend that you just found. I haven't got onto any of those yet because they can sound pretty scary, but at the same time, they're all very like inauthentic. Um, okay, so hold on a second because I'm going to bring in some new media,
I'm
and
gonna
this is what I feel like working with AI. Let's find out why.
Seems we're in a death spiral, error after error. Verity the fortune. I'd like to continue, but believe it too. All I want to do is add moments to journey and share this perfectly with an aesthetically pleasing design.
Point of this entire media, which is to say, all I wanted to do was to create moments and journeys. And as Les could tell you, that what I'm talking about there is literally saying I want to share something publicly in a specific structure. And AI got lost there, and we spent hours, and I mean hours. And like if we were to do some basic HTML that would say, hey, I have a card format, a component called a moment. It's got some context. It looks like a social post. It's pretty easy stuff. But I spent hours and hours trying to get AI to fix that very easy stuff.
Seems we're in a death spiral, error after error. Verity the fortune. I'd like to continue, but believe it too. All I want to do.
Yes, I would like to know why that is.
Okay, well, I'll tell you first of all, in the chat, I just posted a link to what is now a web version at the New Jersey Institute of Technology of the ELIZA program, where you can go to make that function work the way that it would work now. It's still not AI, but it says, "Hello, I'm Eliza. I'll be your therapist today." And then you can it has a type here box on the window, so you can type in whatever statement you want to say to your new therapist, and then she will answer you. And it says it's first. It has the information down here at the bottom that it started out as a Tandy Radio Shack computer program and stuff. So it's got more data about how it worked back then, but this is an updated web version of it. So you have to ask yourself, Chuck. So when I'm programming, how does my chat, my AI system know how to program? And there's a couple of things we have to stop saying. One of them is, I don't know how it learned that, which we hear the AI people say all the time. Gosh, it knows how to do algebra now, and I don't know how it learned how to do that. Well, we do know how it learned how to do that. It's just 15 billion little connections between all the nodes that are doing that. So in a snapshot, it's too big for a human to think about all 15 billion nodes. But we know how it did it. And the other thing is that it knows how to program because it read other people's programs. And unfortunately, there are a lot of really sucky programmers out there, and they have uploaded their code to places like GitHub. And now the AI models have read all the public code that's in GitHub. And the answer now is that they trained it how to program using an example that sucks. Therefore, the code that it writes for you also tends to suck.
So that I think is an interesting piece, right? Because it's like you should be able to have a technology such as AI that can do precise instructions because we've been able to do precise instructions since, Copernicus first measured how long it took whatever to rotate whatever if it was Copernicus who did that, that kind of
Yes.
thing. Like we
Right.
should,
I mean,
we
all the way back to where we started figuring out the distance for circumferences of circles and using pi and the
right.
volume of cylinders and all the rest of that math stuff that we all
Precision's not been a
that,
problem.
and keep in mind I actually have used algebra to solve a real world problem 10 years after I graduated. So Ripley.
Mark this. If anybody ever asks, will I ever use this again? And say, we know a guy.
Yeah,
We
that's
know
right.
a guy.
Okay, so it is possible, though you have everybody say, I'm never going to use this again in my entire life. The fact that in order to be a computer scientist and a research scientist, yes, you do have to understand what that algebra and calculus was. So, um, but we have so many examples of really bad programming. And everybody and his brother has now stored it in their publicly available GitHub repository or some other repository on the net. So what do the models read? They read everything that's on the internet that is readable, and they suck it into their model. Now, I would contend that if you went out and you went to some place like MIT and you sucked up all the code that's being written at MIT or Caltech or somewhere like that, and you use that as the baseline to program what I understand about code in Claude, Claude would be a lot smarter, at least about programming.
From what I'm seeing, like uh, Claude's definitely better. Even then, the platform I'm using, Lovable, which I think they built on Claude. I'm not certain of that.
Mhm.
But then I feel like as they tried to turn it into not an IDE, but like a development environment that creates the code and you kind of see the app in real time, it's like it lost its sharpness, which is very interesting. And like when I feed the code to Claude, it comes out and it seems to really look at the core purposes and core benefits of the various code React, whatever that it is, has used this one because of this reason, whereas the other one doesn't seem as sharp. So it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, we had those kind of IDEs for a long time that were pretty good at doing things like building the main procedure, writing a procedure to put a button on the screen, not what happens when you push the button,
right.
but the code to at least
Take
draw an oval button or make a drop down menu or lots of basic things we've been able to put into those kind of IDEs to have them build for you for, you know, at least 20 years. But the
So
whole
so
in the code of what the button does is not.
so
Zach,
Les, it sounds like what you're saying is that AI is potentially bad because it gives out inaccurate or misleading information because it's based on user inputs.
Yeah, and you can have if the user input is bad, it's going to be bad. But unfortunately, people believe it because they think the AI is thinking,
I
and it's
personally experienced this where I was looking up like how to clean a certain stain or something, and it gave me like basically it's a joke. It's clearly satire, and the source that it pulled was from a Reddit thread, and the person on Reddit was literally making like a joke. They were like making fun of the person who asked the question. I took it as a legitimate answer and spit
yes,
it out and gave it
that
to me.
that is a wonderful example of how this works because it's stringing those words together, and especially if that Reddit post got a lot of likes because it will assume that the Reddit post was more correct because 10,000 people liked it.
Mhm.
let's pivot for a second because one of the things is Zach is here to talk about the marketplace manifesto, and what I want to get into is like, okay, so we have this technology that really can be very useful in advancing people's incomes right now. Okay, but it's like it has to you've got to learn that it has some limitations, it has some high side opportunity, and it does have some real problems, and we need to kind of recognize that. And exactly to where you guys were just sort of going with this the other day online. Somebody made a comment on my father-in-law post, and about the 2020 election, and why do you still think it's stolen? And his response was so obviously ChatGPT. And I'm like, okay, so you're looking. I'm like, so ChatGPT is your source of truth. And no, of course, the argument is no, it's not. No, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. When you are going there and you're asking it to say something like, tell me, show me the evidence, whatever, however you word it, it's going to tell you what you want to hear. So the guy pushes back at me and says, hey, why don't you go see what ChatGPT says? I'm like, I already know what it says. So I'm not going to allow it to give me its canned answer. And I simply started out with, please tell me how the election was stolen in the United States. And it came out with in 2020, the presidential election, and went through all of this. I'm like, and I started this kind of combative, challenging tone with it, which is like, you're so biased. Well, I don't see my bias. I only see my factuality. And here's the. And I'm like, you're so biased. And the whole time I kept like being as overtly, I'm like, you have an incredibly overt bias. And it was the 2020. I didn't ask about, like, please tell me about the 2020. No, I didn't. I just said, please tell me about, having the election stolen in the United States, which, in all of mankind, that kind of language goes, that's history, like an election stolen. How did you decide to choose this one? And its point was, and coming right back to what you're talking about there, Les, is um, because it is the talk of the time, because it is the current prevailing narrative, it then becomes the truth. And I was like, so what makes you think that this is the truth? And its answer was because largely mainstream narratives are arbiters of the truth. It's like, not at all. You just told me that governments actually deploy psyops for generations. So how can you trust this? So when you really do get into having conversations like deep, let's say challenging conversations with the AI, it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
think that, yeah,
Ask
yeah.
it. Ask it why 97% of scientists believe in climate change.
Ooh, that's a good one. We'll have to get that one checked out here shortly. And but here's what I want to talk about is so in the marketplace, right? Is we do have these kind of manifestos, and AI is going to reshape the marketplace. And one of the things that I am putting together, and I was half jokingly talking to Zach about it, is I'm going to put together my marketplace manifesto. which is really nothing more than just sort of the values of the AI. And ultimately, once we learn to shape AI and instruct it, it can better take on our own persona and sort of represent us in ways that it's otherwise going to require our own um, inputs, right? Which is to say that I now have a force multiplier for me, which sort of completely forever sort of changes the idea of labor inputs. Right? So Zach the other day decides to come in and he's like reading the Communist Manifesto. And anybody who's really ever had to learn something and learn it well, Zach has he likes to sit down and read it out loud. So we could all hear it being read. And about midway through, the police came and arrested Zach. And no, that
Zach
part didn't happen.
Zach found out he was on a list.
He said,
I think I may be on one.
what,
I may
so
be on a couple.
I'm going to turn it over to you for a second, Zach, because here's what I want. What I truly, honestly appreciate about the younger generation taking the time to read something like the Communist Manifesto is that he's actually challenging the belief system that's out there, and it's helping him to understand that core belief that very few people ever do. And it's going to get far worse as we're just relying on AI. And Zach absolutely hates AI. So, Zach, tell me what the future looks like for people.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm very distrustful of AI. I think that it's going to be the downfall of civilization as we know it. Um, really, because it just comes down to control. And AI just makes it very easy to control people. You see in Argentina now, when Javier Milei became elected, they're the only country that has ever elected themselves out of communism, which doesn't really seem believable, but that's besides the point. He came in and he decided to get rid of 90% of the government, as he said he was going to do it, and he actually did it. He cut the government down by 90%. And what he replaced it with was AI. So now in Argentina, the police is largely replaced by AI, and AI is looking at people's behavior patterns, looking at their internet history, and it's predicting who is going to like commit crimes. It's monitoring their texts, and it's predicting who's going to step out of line. And then this AI then sends drones to their house, and that's what Argentina is doing right now. And I think that AI just is very dangerous as far as like personal autonomy. I think it's very infringing on freedom.
So how do you say
So,
Minority Report in Portuguese?
exactly
Say it
right.
again.
How do you say Minority Report in Portuguese? If you've ever seen the movie, Minority Report is a Tom
You
Cruise
know what
movie
Minority Report
where
is?
they know that people are going to commit crimes in the future, so they go and arrest them before they can commit the crime.
Oh, if
Like
you've got
pre-crime, Minority
pre
Report.
crime,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what that is.
yeah, it's called
That's
Minority
exactly it.
Report. It is the name of the movie, and they have
With
these.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll add it to my list.
yeah.
Oh
So
man,
the,
yeah, I had to assume you
okay,
had watched that one by
so
now.
that's the whole gist of the movie is that that they have this group of people who have a mental thing going on, and they can predict who's going to commit a crime. So they send the police out to arrest them before the victim gets hurt.
See, that's the thing with when it comes to Hollywood and things like that. I don't think that they're so much predicting the future as they are telling you what is in store for the future. They're putting it out there as media, as fun for people to intake. And then when it actually happens, they're more accustomed to the idea of it happening. And I think you can see a lot of things that have happened in the 2000s that was in movies in the 70s and 80s
Oh, it's
that they were
closer
putting out.
than that, Zach. I mean, 15 years ago, I was working on a project for DHS called Project Hostile Intent, or PHI, as we referred to it. And you can actually find a Wikipedia page about it if you Google Project Hostile Intent and see pictures of the people, some that I used to work with. But it was all about predicting behavior in the future. So we did a lot of behavioral studies, and I'm a computer scientist, but I was hip deep in PhD psychologist, and we were actually looking at how to watch people's behaviors and interview them and things and make predictions about what they were going to do. And we did a lot of experiments where we motivated people to lie. We were looking for deception detection. And so we had college students that we hired and we did things to motivate them to lie. And then we predicted whether or not we could detect their lies and how their behavior is going to change. And some people, I could watch the video 50 times and I couldn't tell you whether or not the person had lied about what they did. And there were other people, it was just screaming at you that they were lying and trying to cover it up. I mean, at the time, we had a big joke because they called one of the subjects, a college guy, my daughter's boyfriend, because he was so horrible at lying. If he opened his mouth, you knew he was lying. So the big joke was that guy is my daughter's boyfriend because he lies all the time and he's
So
bad at it.
when you so it's okay. So all of that human behavior information is part of and baked into uh, AI.
It is
And
now because
for
it's all out on the web.
right. And knowing that technologies can be used for however mankind chooses to use them, and that means like mutual threat of destruction kind of stuff. Um, so Zach, give some insights, and these will get back connected together. Give some insights to the man behind the Communist Manifesto.
So the Communist Manifesto was actually a really interesting read, and it only takes like 2 hours, um, which is shocking. I've met people who have claimed to be communists and they've never ever read the manifesto. But if you read it, like it claims to be the work of an economist, but it's very clear that it's not. It's all like not emotion based, but it's very revolutionary. Like the very end of the manifesto, and you can read a lot of this. There's a man named Paul Kengor, and he wrote a book called The Devil and Karl Marx. He has an interview with Jordan Peterson, and he goes in depth into this for like 2 hours. Um, but the manifesto ends with the words like "Workers of the world, unite." If you back up a paragraph, it literally says communists everywhere support every revolutionary movement against the existing social and political order of things. So they support every revolution against every kind of order that exists. Because Karl Marx ultimately was a worshiper of destruction. Like when he was in high school, he was very into poetry, and his favorite poem was Faust, and his favorite character was Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles is the devil character from Faust, and he essentially worships destruction, and he said that everything that exists needs to perish. Like everything that exists is inherently bad. Life is suffering, so life needs to end. And that was essentially what he believed in his heart of hearts. And the problem is when you take such a negative like view of looking at the world and you try to turn it into a political ideology, all you do is increase people's suffering.
Okay, so it's very fair to say that that ideology, that political belief system, is what is baked into today's major large language models that we're all reliant upon. I mean, it's very fair to say that because the vast majority of that way of thinking um, grows through academia, right? I mean, there's different strategies that we can see. The word of the day today is DAI. I'm not going to get into it too deep today, but basically, like that in itself is a labor tactic, a tactic of labor, well, a strategy of labor,
Yes,
if you
it's
will.
been ingrained into people's heads. It's in education. It's in the entertainment. It's everywhere. It's permeating cultural Marxism. And you can look up cultural Marxism on Wikipedia, and it'll tell you that it's a far right conspiracy theory. But I think it's become very clear that it's real, that they're indoctrinating people to be against the family unit, to be against.
And why would okay? And why from the communist? Why would that be what a communist belief system would create?
Because ultimately the communist belief system is the destruction of everything, and that includes everything that's good. Like ultimately communism, and a lot of the people who were involved in the Russian Revolution and the French Revolution, they were involved in Freemasons. And Freemasons, as you get like higher up, it's basically their two sworn enemies are the church and the state. So their whole purpose is to dismantle Western governments and religion that brings people together.
All right. So now, knowing how much your disdain for AI, knowing that it is baked deep into it is an ideology which is effectively anti-human, right? I mean, it is truly at least anti-life, right? Because to your point, life is suffering, and all suffering needs to be, gotten rid of. And we have this world-changing, powerful technology. What is that, Spider-Man? Like with great power comes great responsibility. Zach, you hate all of this, and yet you completely can explain from A to Z right now why this powerful change that's happening in our world needs some better voices behind it. How do you put your voice behind something you hate so much?
Well, for my part, I that's a really good question.
It's okay. They're all good questions.
I think it's very easy. Here's a fair assessment. It may be kind of political because I'm not going to answer your question directly. Uh, I think it's very easy to look in the past and see things clearly how they happened. Whereas in the present day, events that are happening right now, it's a lot more muddy. And the same way with technology, it's easy to understand something from 30 years ago as it is to understand inventions and the advent of technology today, especially since it's accelerating. And I just haven't gotten around to putting my brain to actually like trying to comprehend it. I throw it out. I'll be honest and just admit that.
Uh,
and
Zach, have you ever read Alvin Toffler?
I have not.
Okay, he's a futurist. I believe he's now deceased. If he's not, he's incredibly old. But in the 70s, he wrote a first book called Future Shock, and it's about changes in society. And then he follows that on with a couple of other books, including The Third Wave and some other things that follow along the same mode. And it pretty adequately describes the invention of the internet and changes that have happened since the 1980s, and he predicted them well ahead of them about
the world, and to your point, looking at it from the past always, gives you one view. And as you're saying, you can look at where you are, and it might be really muddy. But sometimes that muddiness is exactly like you said, because you really haven't put your mind to it. And, you've got a future in front of you where you're going to need to raise your children in this environment. You're going to need to raise your family, and you're going to need to prepare your grandchildren in an environment that is literally being built on top of um, problematic technology. And even now, at the same time, when I say that, it is world changing technology. Um, so, okay, that's not what I'm trying to do here. Can't call through there. Sorry. Try to call in through WhatsApp. That's not going to work. Um, but anyways, embrace it. Embrace it is like this needs an art. Like the whole idea of we need an army of people who do have a better understanding of truly what's going on here, and it really has I want to say so little to do with the technology because it truly is all about how the humans respond to the technology. Is that
I
fair, Les?
I dislike that argument instinctively when you said that it's the way the world is going, so you kind of have to embrace it. That doesn't sit well with me. It's like in, in Revelation, the mark of the beast is going to be something that it's going to be the future. Everybody's going to be doing it, but I don't think that that's a very good reason to embrace.
See, okay, I just, whatever.
This is one of those
Anyways, well,
areas where, over time, you kind of get conditioned to the
yeah,
situation. And if one of these things happens in the middle of one of Chuck's streams, I just roll
go with
right
it.
with it.
Well,
You know,
and this is it. Okay. So debrief. I kind of like this little system here, so I think I'll probably just go with it. I do
okay.
like the ability to add the different media where I can have a little fun with it. Um,
This works well.
and we,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And we need to kind of like, I do like the from my side over here, I'll tell you, like, managing having the three of us on or two on or whoever's joining, very easy for me if once I get like what the click is, which was something that was much, much more challenging than some of the
No,
other
Chuck,
OBS
I
stuff.
really feel like I'm on the MSM right now. Like,
Yeah.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
All
is,
right, cool.
yeah. I mean, this could be your own YouTube channel, Chuck.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Like this is going to be part of the YouTube, and then like I said, I want to check out what it does to X because it would be very interesting if it actually allows people to join X, and then we have like X moderators and go from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this is fun.
Yeah. I was watching a thing on YouTube earlier today called Agenda Free TV, and that guy he's streaming to YouTube, he's streaming to Rumble, he's up on X. He's got the feeds going all over the place with individual moderators on each platform.
Exactly. And I think that that's really the trick to, and Zach, when I say like, you just have to accept it, I don't mean you literally have to accept what's being thrust upon you. I simply mean that you alone have no way of stopping what's coming down the track. Um, and you need an army to help you push back what's coming down the track,
You need a
right?
billion
And
bots behind you.
yeah,
a billion bots behind you, right? Yeah. And a billion bots driven by the human heart,
I could just run
not.
away into the woods, and that would be very fulfilling for me. But I couldn't be sure that it would help anybody else.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And if you're going to do that, make sure you do that
Take your
before you
Starlink
get
with you
married.
so that Starlink, well, with the option to roam, so that you can call home occasionally.
Yeah. Thanks, Elon.
Right. Excellent. Well, thank you both for coming on today. And like I said, I think we're going to try to get these to be a little bit more regular. If we can't get the other guys to jump on at this 4 o'clock spot, maybe we'll try to go back 7. But Les, how are your Thursdays? I still like Thursday personally.
Well, I'm available today only because my Australian call got canceled for this week. Because normally, right now, at 4 o'clock, I have a call to Zoom into the staff meeting Friday morning in Australia, uh, which I would be on. Which is why I've always told you I needed to do it a little bit later on Thursday. And
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
daylight savings time switches around, that will move to 5 o'clock, and then eventually it'll move to 6 o'clock when we're on, depending on we're on daylight savings and they're not. When we're both not, it's at 5. You guys remember it's
Okay.
summer. It's summer in
I
Australia.
like Thursdays, but
Yeah.
future events may predict that the time may change for me when I'm available.
Yeah.
No, you have to like plan your entire life around this.
Yes. Yes. You got to prioritize. Got to prioritize.
You know, I could do that too. That wouldn't be an issue
Uh,
for me.
but no, that's why doing it later on the Thursday has always been better for me because this time slot has been allocated to that for years.
Okay.
I'll
And then
block
and
Yeah, I
then
Thursdays
definitely.
off. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
and
I like
the
the. I like the.
the Tuesday is when I'm doing the class. So this is a good evening as long as it's after dinner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like that too. So we'll go from there. All right, gentlemen. Appreciate it, and we'll
Great.
talk again soon.
All right. Nice to meet you, Zach.
It was too, but you too, Les. It was a pleasure.
Bye. And